Okay, so if leadership is just leaving you completely exhausted at the end of the day, you might actually be playing the wrong role. Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to fundamentally shift how you look at leadership and coaching. We're talking about a massive move here, going from that absolute draining exhaustion of feeling like you need to have every single answer to the incredibly energizing power of asking the right questions. So let's dive right in and totally reframe what it means to truly lead. Let's kick things off with a pretty provocative thought from former GE CEO Jack Welch. What's so fascinating about this is how it completely flips our standard assumption of leadership on its head. I mean, we usually think the leader has to be the smartest expert in the room, right? The guru who just instantly knows how to solve every problem that pops up. But Welch argues the exact opposite. He says your job isn't to hold all the answers, it's to hold the questions. You actually have to get totally comfortable looking like you don't know it all. So, be honest with yourself for a second. Do you fall into the advice monster trap? You know, swooping into meetings, wearing a cape made of unwanted opinions, just ready to save the day? Think about your everyday conversations at work. Do you walk away from them feeling totally drained because you feel this immense, crushing pressure to provide every single solution? A lot of leaders operate under this false belief that they're getting paid or respected strictly for their ability to dole out advice. But constantly playing the entertainer and the fixer? Yeah, that is a fast track to burnout. To fix this, we really need to redefine what we're actually doing here. True coaching is the skill of guiding people to self-discovery. It is not being a taskmaster, and it's definitely not just training someone by giving them a list of instructions. Why? Well, psychologically speaking, if someone hears your voice telling them what to do, they just aren't nearly as motivated. But if you guide them to self-discovery, they get to hear their own voice say it out loud. They find their own solutions, and this is absolutely crucial, they actually take ownership of it. Now, to understand why shifting to this coaching mindset is just so painfully difficult for us adults, we need a bit of a pattern interrupt. Get a load of this number: 40,000. Research actually shows that children between the ages of 2 and 5 ask an average of 40,000 questions. I mean, think about that. It's like their brains are wired for it. Kids are naturally overflowing with curiosity, just constantly asking why, to figure out this amazing world around them.
And you know, this brilliantly illustrates the root of our whole problem. That innate childhood curiosity, it plummets right around age 5. And why is that? Well, we enter the formal education system. Suddenly, we aren't rewarded for being curious anymore. Instead, we are heavily conditioned to fear looking stupid. We start getting gold stars and A+s strictly for having the correct answers. We worry so much about what our peers think that we stop raising our hands to ask questions, and we only speak up if we're sure we have the right answer. And the crazy part is, as adults, we bring that exact same tragically flawed conditioning right into our leadership roles. So to break decades of that kind of conditioning, you've got to adopt what we call the energizing coaching ratio. It's simple: 80% listening, 20% speaking and questioning. You know the old saying, right? You have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. The person doing the most talking in any conversation is the one doing the most bonding and, frankly, gaining the most value. By intentionally letting them talk 80% of the time, you transform yourself from an exhausted entertainer into an energized, effective coach.
Okay, so when you do use that 20% to ask questions, how do you actually know they're great ones? Well, you're going to notice some distinct physical and verbal cues. First off, a truly great question is usually short and incredibly simple. But the biggest telltale sign? Prolonged silence. Or maybe hearing them say, "Wow, I've literally never thought of that before." When you get that awkward silence, it's going to feel uncomfortable, but resist the urge to jump in and rescue them. Just shut up. Let them think. As we start practicing this, there's a major pitfall you've got to watch out for, and that is layering. This is a super common mistake, honestly, even for experienced coaches. Layering is when we fire off multiple questions in this long, run-on sentence. We say something like, "So what went wrong with the project, and who was in the meeting, and why didn't you just call me?" By the time you finish, they don't even know what you're asking. Actually, scratch that. It feels more like an interrogation. Stop doing this. Just ask one short, simple question and let it do all the heavy lifting. Because here's the thing, not all questions are created equal. There's actually a distinct escalation, a question quality hierarchy. The exact word you choose to start your sentence with will dramatically alter the other person's psychological response. So let's break down these levels, starting from the very bottom, to see how you can instantly upgrade your conversations. Down at the base of the hierarchy, we have why questions. Now, to be fair, any question is better than no question at all, but starting with why is pretty much the lowest quality level. Just think about it. If someone misses a deadline and you immediately jump in with, "Why did you do that?" you trigger this instant knee-jerk defensiveness. It totally forces the other person to justify their actions and launch into this long-winded storytelling, rather than actually exploring their deeper thoughts or figuring out how to fix the root problem. Moving up a step, we hit how questions. Now, these are definitely better, and they're highly tactical. They activate that step-by-step logistical problem-solving part of the human brain. And while they are absolutely excellent for building out strategies, you do have to be careful. Relying purely on how are we going to fix this might get the job done in the short term, but it can completely miss the deeper emotional friction that's actually blocking your team. Stepping up even higher, we reach what questions. And guys, this is where the magic really starts to happen. What opens up massive possibilities and helps people see the forest for the trees. By making just a tiny linguistic shift, you change the whole game. Instead of asking that defensive, why is that important to you? Ask, what about that is important to you? Boom, you instantly eliminate their bias and invite this massive, non-defensive self-discovery. And finally, at the very top of the hierarchy, we have the absolute pinnacle. Who questions? These force the absolute deepest level of reflection. They move entirely beyond just daily tactics and focus on relationships, massive personal leverage, and core identity transformation. This is the ultimate transition from being a manager who just does the work to a leader who builds the network. Asking something like, who can do this for me, unlocks a whole new level of leverage. So, knowing all this, how do you actually get good at this? How do you build this new muscle? You have to actively recondition your brain out of its decades-old advice-giving habits. Try this weekly exercise to train your mind. And fair warning, it's surprisingly difficult. Step 1, pick literally any book off your shelf. Step 2, read just 2 to 3 pages. Step 3, extract 50 different questions from those pages. I know, it sounds tough, but you are no longer reading for information. You're training your brain to literally scan the world for profound questions rather than just seeking out the easy answers.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with the ultimate pinnacle who question. Sit with this thought for a minute. Who do you need to become? Think about the massive shifts you must make, moving from talking to listening, from answering to asking. What's it going to take for you to become a truly energized, transformative leader who gives others the incredible gift of self-discovery?